Hello, everyone. My name is Brent Dundore. I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm a photographer, I'm an activist, and I'm also the proud producer of the They Them Project. They Them Project interviews non-binary individuals, offering a platform for them to be seen and heard, all while informing and educating everyone on how words and actions affect the trans plus community. For this very first podcast episode of the They Them Project, I want to take the time to tell you the story of how this all got started and answer some questions that I personally get asked all the time about the project. But first, why podcasts? I'm so excited for yet another chapter of the They Them Project, and I'm confident that this is going to be the best way to get people's voices heard and share their stories and experiences and help promote causes that they're passionate about. I promise it's going to be more real, raw, and in depth, and you're going to experience the project in a way that you never thought possible. The photos and the video interviews that I've always done in the past will continue to be a great way to showcase and share the project, but in reality, they have become quite limiting. I have found you can only do so much with a photo by sharing it and literally begging people to click a link to see more about a project. Most of the time, they won't. And with the videos, I feel like people feel tied down if you ask them to watch more than 1 or 2 minutes on their phone or computer, even if it's something they're interested in. Now, I truly feel that the amazing people I've had the opportunity to work with in this project really deserve more time and energy from all of us. And the interviews that we do oftentimes last over 45 minutes, sometimes a lot more. And with the constraints that I have felt from people's attention spans with YouTube videos, I have been forced to cut out a lot of what people have had to say and what they wanted to have heard. Through these future podcast interviews, you're guaranteed to hear me make mistakes while asking questions, asking individuals how or what I should be asking them more about what they have to say. You will get more detail from all aspects of this project. So, yay, They Them Project podcasts, here we go. Now, usually this project has very little to do with me, and I try my best to put all the focus of the project on the people that I'm interviewing. But I think now would be a great time for me to answer a couple of questions that I'm asked almost every time that someone learns that I produced the project. It's been about a year since this all got started for me, and in that time, it went from one photo that happened literally by mistake to a project where I'm trying to make a difference. So the first question that people always ask me is, of course, what is the They Them Project about? I tell them it's a project where I have a chance to interview non-binary people who use or accept they them pronouns, and I hope to give them a place where they can speak, as well as a place where others can go to better understand gender from a more personal perspective. Ultimately, I do the project for cisgendered people who are afraid to ask certain questions to non-binary individuals. I do it for those who might be questioning their own gender and want to hear others' experiences and thoughts on certain issues. I do the project for any person listening who wants to better understand gender in general and what it means to be non-binary. And of course, I do it for the people that I interview so that they have a way to share their thoughts and promote causes that they work for and are passionate about. Ultimately, I ask questions that people most often are uncomfortable asking to try and remove ignorance about gender, hopefully allowing people to grow and be more educated. That question and answer always leads to the next one, which is, why are you doing the project? I tell people that the story is actually quite long, but the short version of it all is that I wanted to challenge my own ignorance on gender. Now, because I have your ears and more than 10 seconds of your time, I will give you the more abbreviated, longer version of the story. And I'm always willing to tell this story in hope that it inspires others to think about their acceptance of non-binary people and people in general. I guess you could say that the project actually began about 4 years ago, even though it was less than a year ago that I started taking photos and interviewing people. My husband and I were planning for our wedding, and my aunt asked if she could bring a guest to our festivities. We said yes, and then later on, she came to me to mention that the person she wanted to bring uses they-them pronouns. She mentioned this to me because she wanted my opinion on what that actually meant. But it was actually my very first time hearing anything about they, them pronouns. In that moment, and being completely honest, I actually laughed and I said, you're either a guy or a girl. You can be whatever you want to be, but you can't make up pronouns and expect the world to change. Well, the wedding day came and I met this person who wanted me to use they, them pronouns. And I was actually a little taken back because I could tell that they certainly knew who they were and that their gender was as genuine as mine. I spoke to my husband about those feelings, and he made a point to me that drastically changed my perspective on all of it. He mentioned that I should consider my own coming out story through my childhood, not with my gender, but with my sexuality. I had mentioned to him over the years how it was hard at times when people didn't try to understand my bisexuality, and how it really hurt me when people would make assumptions about me and sometimes literally say that bisexuality doesn't exist. I started to think more about what it meant to be trans and non-binary. And one day I was working with a person for one of my fine art projects when about halfway through the shoot, the subject told me that they preferred they, them pronouns. We paused from the shoot and I asked them if I could ask questions about their journey to using those pronouns. And they said, sure, I'm happy to. So we stopped the shoot, we sat down and we had coffee and we chatted. And after all of that, while I was editing the images, there was one shot that spoke to me. By mistake, it encompassed everything that we had talked about in the conversation over coffee, and I had a big moment of realization. I felt as though I had to do something with all of this. I wanted to understand more about what I was learning and give other people a chance to learn and grow as well. I have been fortunate enough to have success with other photo projects I have produced in the past, so I thought it would be a great way to do something similar again. I asked more people to be part of the project, and each time I asked them to come over to take pictures, I found myself asking them questions prior to shooting, all so that I personally could better understand them and their journey to using they, them pronouns. Until one day I had this realization that those questions that I was asking them are the same questions others wanted to ask and might be afraid to. I thought I should document all of this through interviews. Since that time, I have been in a constant state of learning and vamping the project to learn more, to showcase the people, and to promote causes that they're passionate about. Lastly, there is another question I'm asked almost every time someone has seen the project and speaks to me about it. Where is this project going, and how can I help? I'm open to anywhere that this project can go. I had the opportunity to speak at a college. I'm going to a big conference, and I'll be speaking there soon. I've now worked on the project out of state. It's been showcased in certain publications and other podcasts. I feel it's endless where I personally can go with the project, and I'm really excited just to see where it all goes. As for helping, I cannot stress enough, and trust me, you're going to hear me mention this in all of the podcasts to come. Sharing the project is the best way you can help. The real way that They Them Project grows and makes a difference is when it's shared by you. Every time you see and hear an interview, think about something that you gain from it. Hit the share buttons on the screen and tell people through social media what you gained and why they should listen and watch as well. You'll be amazed with all the comments that people give you thanking you for posting this, and it's those conversations that start to make the biggest difference. Thank you for listening to the first episode of the They Them Project podcast. Make sure to check out my first podcast interview in episode 2 with Aaron, a 13-and-a-half-year-old from the Twin Cities.